You're locked in to the hottest station on the planet.
Resistance is futile. The revolution has begun.
You're listening to Rebelpreneur Radio, helping you break the rules and build the business you need for the life you want. And now, broadcasting his pirate signal
from somewhere beyond the status quo,
here's your host, best-selling author, marketing and media strategist, Ralph Brogden.
Hello and welcome to Rebelpreneur Radio. It's the show that helps you build the business you need so you can live the life you want. I'm Ralph Brogden. One of the greatest assets you have available to you right now, your most powerful strength, your most important partner in helping you build the business you need for the life you want, is the power of your own mind. Your thoughts either help you or they hinder you and your ability to live, grow, earn money, and be successful in life and in business. Now, I know that sounds like hyperbole. You hear that all the time, right? But it's more than just positive thinking. It's reality. And today's guest has the experience, the data, and the science to back up the power of your mind. He is widely recognized as India's topmost hypnotherapist and has undertaken thousands of therapy cases and training programs in clinical hypnotherapy worldwide over more than a decade. I'm pleased to welcome Yuvraj Kapadia to the program. He is the founder and CEO of the EKAA, Integrated Clinical Hypnotherapy Foundation, one of the world's biggest training institutes specializing in hypnotherapy and regression therapy. He has grown his organization into a worldwide presence with over 13,000 certified students and over 60 certified trainers. Yuvraj, welcome to Rebelpreneur Radio.
Thank you for the introduction, Ralph, and hello to everybody who is listening to this show either right away or at a point of time in future. The greeting stays.
Absolutely. Hi. Well, it's a real pleasure to have you. You are a person who is highly sought after worldwide for your workshops, your seminars, and training programs, and for your trademark style of explaining highly complex scientific and metaphysical concepts in the most easy to understand language. In other words, you take complicated things and you explain them in simple ways that most people can understand, and that's how I operate as well. But you know all about hypnotherapy and the power of your mind to create transformation. So tell us a little bit about your background and what got you interested in clinical hypnotherapy.
All right. So before I get to my background, it might be a good idea to simply validate what you've just mentioned, Ralph. And my opening line, very often in many of the classes or trainings that I do, is let's fundamentally understand what keeps us alive. And there's just one simple answer to that, which is our breathing. The fact that we are breathing is what is a testimonial to our life. And then my next question is your breathing easy or is it difficult? And for most people, breathing is easy, which means if we were to simply put 1 + 1 is equal to, what keeps me alive is my breathing, and breathing is easy. Fundamentally, life is easy. And that line gets through really well, which means everything beyond that is what we have maybe consciously or unconsciously created. And what our mind can create, it can always uncreate, because life is easy. Breathing is easy. So with that ease, let's get in a little bit, maybe into my background. So I come from a very varied background. I have been a microbiologist by profession, a business graduate. I have dabbled in the stock markets a long time back. And through these variety of experiences, if I would choose to call them that, I ran into situations and circumstances in my life which were way beyond my conscious cognitive control. Albeit on a smaller scale, on a personal scale, but even right now, what the world is going through, what we're all going through in terms of a pandemic, is circumstances and situations that are beyond our conscious cognitive control. And yet, who is writing the check for those circumstances? We're doing it. So the consequences of something that's happening outside of us is something we are learning to live with. And that's precisely what I went through with my own vagaries of life. I started to observe things happening, events happening that were way beyond my control, but I was paying the check. I was paying the price. And that set me on a quest of inquiring, which often is what pain does to us. So whenever we're stuck in life and then our computer kicks in to say, why is this happening to me? This is what life is all about? Is it like a juiced out lemon? Oh, it cannot be this way, because what's even weirder is when the chips are down, everything around you is also down. You know, your family, your friends, your folks. It's one big downhill slide. And through those moments of, you could call them introspection in the dark, because you really can't see any light at all. So you have no choice because everything outside is dark. And so the only place to check is you. And the resultant process is what brought me here, where I began to decode a few things about our mind, our software, our invisible body, and how eventually it's all about realizing choices, consequences, mental programming. You are the cause, you are the effect. And even if situations or circumstances outside of you are whack and weird, you've been blessed with enough resources inside of you to be able to get the best out of that. Which means if life gives you a juiced out lemon, you can choose to make a lemonade. That's about it. So that's what got me going.
So this is a philosophy that says it is not about what happens to you, it's how you choose to frame that experience and respond to it that makes the difference between overcoming it or being overcome by it.
Absolutely, Ralph. I couldn't have put that in a better line myself.
Now, what were the circumstances that led to this discovery? You're in a place now where you're teaching your principles and your lessons to thousands of students around the world. What was it like for you when you first began to discover these principles within yourself? What was the triggering mechanism for you?
Okay. So this goes back nearly maybe 30 years now. I was trading the markets and, periodically, I think if you look at the global history of financial markets worldwide, there are always moments that will completely pull the rug, from below the entire market. So I went through my own earth-shattering space way back in the early 1990s, when India as an economy was just opening up to a global presence. We were in the middle of a transition of culture, of economy, of the world looking at India slightly differently. And then we went through our own stock market turmoil. And I lost very systematically whatever little niche I had built up for myself as a trader, as an investor, as a person who advised other people as well on how to manage their funds. What was very peculiar is, well, I have a degree in business management. I'm supposed to be a gold medalist in finance. And yet I got stuck with events and circumstances that I had absolutely kind of no control over. And well, you initially fight, you try to float, you battle, you try to come out of it. Difficult times, difficult days, resources aren't available at all. And you come from a family that stands for a few value systems. You can't run away, stand there, sort it out. But how do you sort out something when there's absolutely no resource to sort it out? What do you do? And I spent nearly 8 years in that zone, getting support from weird places, which made no sense, which made absolutely no sense. But it was almost as if there is something out there, I don't know what it is, that requires me to figure this out. I still don't have words for that, but it was there. I can't debate that. And then in a particularly magical, transformative moment, which I think is good luck, something saying, why don't you try to look inside of yourself? Because you're constantly trying to fix the outside and you're not getting a breakthrough. So maybe just flip the model. Try to look inside. I did come from a conventional background where you believe in a system, but we never go into these looking inside formulas. Wasn't there that time. And sure enough, I went with the advice, because when you have no choice left, you simply take everything that comes as your last straw to grab onto.
Exactly. Yeah.
And I was in that state. Absolutely. So I attend a program that deals with going into your mind as in a meditation kind of space. And then a funny thing happened. I started to go back in time. Yeah, that was weird because I had no training in this. I had absolutely no experience. I didn't know what this was. But I think the time was right. So I just started to go back in time, in the current, beyond the current. And I went through a 2-hour process spontaneously that put all the logical pieces of what had happened in my life together. Not only that, I was basically also born with a cardiac condition. So I was supposed to be on cardiac medication for the rest of my life. And after I came out of these 2 hours, it seemed mind-blowing because I wasn't sure whether I had gone anywhere, but I did know something profound had happened with my self-regression work. And there's this inner sense that says your heart is okay, you can get it checked. And sure enough, a prolapsed valve had got sorted out. And all my financial problems in 3 months almost disappeared. My property got sold. I got a buyer. I got the money. I paid off people and came to this huge, huge conclusion that everything about me is in my mind. It begins with me and it ends with me. So that was my unintended initiation, if you would like to call it. Wasn't planned, wasn't strategized, almost as if a part of me had just decided it's time to make a move. And that was it. Everything else fell into place after that.
So today you are actually, you've got this large organization. It's global. You spend much of your time in certification and training. Tell me a little bit more about how you took those lessons and now how you're teaching those lessons to other people, and who do you help? Who benefits from your approach?
All right. So my just to link up with the previous answer, the big conclusion that I personally experienced was that it's all in my mind. The story of my life is exactly what my mind makes of it, which means I can look at the mind as the invisible body or the body as the visible mind. And this was the one big software and hardware amalgam that I started to understand. I studied hypnotherapy later. So this was an experience I went through, and it made a lot of sense because it sorted out many things. And I then really had this inner space that you need to learn this. Fair enough. My teacher who taught me the science was from the US, was from California, actually, strangely speaking, from Irvine. And he happened to be visiting India for the very first time. And as you probably have experienced, that when the timing is correct, everything just happens in synchronicity.
Yes, when the student is ready, the teacher appears.
Absolutely, appears. And amazing teacher, I learned the science of how to become a therapist in assisting people with this understanding that whatever is happening in their life, either at a mental level or an emotional level, energetic level, or at a physical level, is a process that is playing out in their minds first. And so I became a hypnotherapist. I started to work with individual people with all kinds of issues. As luck would have it, I became fairly busy, which means in about 2 or 3 months of completing my training, I had a wait list of about a month and a half. I used to do 8 or 10 people a day, really packed, and getting more and more drawn into this. And about 2 years into my practice, in a casual conversation, somebody asked me, so what's your end aim? What's your goal? And by now, your altruistic self has really woken up strong. So you're on this whole, I'm here to make a difference, to improve people's lives, to make life better. I have a lot of clients coming in, life is set. And that question took a slightly deeper meaning, saying, okay, so in your lifetime, how much of a difference do you think you can make to this planet, was the question. And I actually went and did a mental math process saying, I'm doing so many clients, so many sessions, blah, 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 blah. Oh, I will probably deal with 30, 40,000 people on earth and make their life better. And the killer question, don't you think it's time for you to create a process by which if you could create 30,000 people who do the kind of work that you're doing, and they in turn touch 30 or 40,000 lives, then you may touch the lives of about 9 or 10 million people. And well, that's it. So that was the seed or the germ of a training program, saying, let me create a training program that gets people to do exactly what I'm doing quite well. And EKAA was the genesis of that. So I went full on into training people to do hypnotherapy, which became my bread and butter business, the institution, organization, the franchisees, the countries, getting people from all walks of life basically to learn how to work this as a science and take it to the next level for people who come to them. So that's the genesis of the business.
Excellent, excellent. So without really meaning to, you actually started an international movement and organization that is expanding your influence globally without really intending to, because I think you're tapping into something that it really affects so many people. One of the things that I find very interesting is a program you have developed, and I think I'm pronouncing it correctly when I call it RUDRA.
Yes, you are.
And the premise of this program is very interesting. And for people who are listening and who have been on a steady diet of positive thinking, affirmation, visualization, and all of these things in the self-help area, it's going to sound very counterintuitive, but I think when you explain it, it will make a lot of sense to our listeners. But you've developed a program called RUDRA, and it's based on what you call destructive transformation. I love that. And there's a note of truth and a ring of truth to that I haven't heard many people talk about. But explain to us what RUDRA means, and what is this concept of destructive transformation?
RUDRA, as a word in Sanskrit, means tempest, a storm. And a tempest is something that will dismantle the existing before the space can be cleared for something new to come up. And the genesis of this approach is to understand that the resource is always there. But if the resource is stuck with an unhealthy impression of the past, then a lot of that is not available in the present to get to the future that you are dying to move towards. Now, taking this a bit deeper, this is not magic. This is not about a religion or a spiritual philosophy. This is just about you. And as a human, we're supposed to be the most evolved species on Earth. What gives us that evolution is the power of our mind. And we are here to discover the infinite selves that we are, which is this whole genre of positive thinking. You can make it happen. Go out there, believe in it. Boom, boom, boom. Brilliant. All great. But, one of the funny paradoxes of human life and human nature is that if we're seeking to discover a resource within ourselves, we would normally do it in the face of the absolute opposite environment, which basically means that if I am now here to find courage within myself, I need a framework of fear, because if there is no fear in the environment outside of me, how will I ever discover the resource of courage inside of me? So we unleash the game from our minds saying, okay, it's now time to find courage. Here comes the fear. And when the fear comes, instead of discovering the courage, what do? We'll end up succumbing to the fear simply because we have this absolute monster of a mind that records everything and duplicates it with absolute faithfulness. And now begins our dance or our drama with the wrong side of the coin. So we've started this journey aiming to find strength, power, resource, faith, courage, love, the good parts of our lives. We're unconsciously doing it by the exact opposite framework outside of us. And yet, when push comes to shove, we succumb and go right in. So we have a lot of our resources stuck in these loops of fear, in the loop of sadness, in the loop of low self-worth, in the loop of confusion. And since our mind is a duplicator, we keep going through the same cycle over and over again. I know many people who come from the premise that what's the point of going to the past when you can't change it? We do not visit the past to change it. We visit it to deconstruct and free ourselves from it so that we can use that good energy that we are bringing out from there to go exactly where we want to go ahead. So destructive transformation is go back to the past to destroy it, find the essence of who you are there, and bring that essence into the present to magnificently leap towards the future. That's the premise.
Very powerful. And then when I was trying to wrap my understanding around this philosophy, the illustration that came to mind is someone who says, suppose they set a goal that they want to, for example, swim the English Channel, and they visualize the goal and they train very hard and they have positive thinking and positive affirmations. And they make a vision board and you know, they do all the things they've been taught to visualize success. They jump into the water and begin swimming, but they have chained to their ankles 2 blocks of cement. And so no matter how hard they try, no matter how positive their thoughts, no matter how powerful their visualization and affirmations are, they haven't dealt with the obstacles, the things holding them back.
Perfect.
And so they're going to sink.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Now, when I started as a therapist, Ralph, that's exactly what I used to do. I would get people back to where the blocks came in from. Then I started to teach other people on how to become therapists to do exactly that. And with the pandemic now coming out, the next shift or the next turn of the entire story was, can we create a protocol that enables people in a safe way to do this by themselves? And that is the genesis of RUDRA. So it's a duplicatable process. It's a safe process. It's a process that acknowledges with acceptance that this is where I am. I have those blocks. Yeah. I'm not staying in a cocoon saying it's all out great. I can run out there because I feel the block. I feel it on my ankle. I cannot lie to myself.
Right.
So it's there. The moment I accept what is, the door to what to do about it opens up. And that involves going to the past, unlocking that chain from your ankles, freeing yourself from it. And after that, your swim ahead is one lovely, easy ride.
And then you're back to life is easy and breathing is easy.
Absolutely. You see, so
Yes.
what we all want, we always get. And we don't necessarily need challenges to get us there. Life is easy. Go ahead, go back, open the block, open the door, get the resource, use it. Life is easy.
So people are listening right now, and during the period of time that we are recording this, of course, the pandemic dominates the news, as well as people who are trying to start a business, maintain their business, stay in business, and also maintain the positive energy and the mental energy that they need to be successful in life and in business. And so a lot of people are struggling. A lot of people are stressed out right now. Is there something that you can suggest that our listeners could begin doing? And it may be one thing, it may be a 2 or 3 steps that would help them get a little bit farther down the road from where they are now to where they need to be in their mind, so that they can deal with these challenges and the stress and the things that they're having to deal with in their life and in their business? Is there something, a quick fix or a self-help process you could share in a couple of minutes that would make a transformation for them?
Oh, absolutely, Ralph. In fact, it just brings me back to what I innately used to do when I was looking for my own answers. And I think no better time to put that right there on the table. So what I did figure out back then, and that holds true even now, because that's just how the human mind is that our DNA, which is the source of our bodies and everything that we create around us, is hugely influenced by what we feel, by our emotions. And it is those emotions that are largely responsible for unconsciously creating situations that reiterate the same feelings, which means we're facing challenges in life at the moment. Business is going down, uncertainty, and there is an inner feeling of restlessness, frustration, unhappiness, etc. The way we breathe is intrinsically linked to how we feel. So the moment you are in the grip of the feeling, the first thing to do is breathe differently, immediately. Breathe in through the nose, gently breathe out through the mouth as if you're blowing air into a balloon. You got to break the circuit because otherwise you are in a loop. There's a situation out there that's unfortunate. It makes you feel helpless. That helpless feeling inside of you is working on your DNA to create more situations that will make you feel even more helpless. So you're stuck in the loop of helplessness. So the first thing to do is break that. How do you break that? You breathe differently. Breathing is easy. So the moment you feel that pit in your stomach, you don't know what's going to happen, your chest feels heavy, take a minute out, breathe in through the nose and gently breathe out through the mouth, as if you are blowing air into a balloon. And in about 2 or 3 minutes, that helplessness inside your body will settle. It'll give you a break. The moment that happens, you get clear-minded. And from that clear-mindedness arises the appropriate out-of-box thinking from that clear-mindedness arises the lateral approach that can then give you a breakthrough that will change your game for good.
And that sounds really simple. It is. Breathing
Life
is easy, and it sounds simple. Why don't more people do it?
Yeah. Unfortunately, the travesty of human mankind.
Well,
so you can start from there.
Yes.
Okay, start from there. Because if you realize, Ralph, we were all born with a clean slate. And yet, we'll end up spinning magnificent, tragic stories in our lives. And that all goes back to situations that make us feel in a certain way. And those feelings will keep proving themselves over and over again. So in Rudra, of course, on a more expanded format, we're encouraging people to go back and heal what they feel. Because if you can change that feeling, the healing kicks in and the protocol of transformation is so much easier. It's not a challenge anymore.
Very, very powerful. Now, your program is going to be released very soon. Who would be a good candidate for this? Describe the program, how people will go through that, and who would be a good candidate to go through Rudra and experience this destructive transformation to change their life for the better.
So my target, every human on earth who has a mind that can think and a body that can feel. So if you have a mind that can think and a body that can feel, and if you wish your life to be a life that you would love to live, there is a simple, efficient process that can move you from where you are right now to where exactly you want to go. So it's open to every human on earth. If your life is already in cruise control, brilliant. Enjoy it. You don't need to do much. But if you're not right out there and a part of you is questioning, saying, I should be there. I should be driving that plane. I should be, this is where I should be. Now, the question you ask yourself is, if that's what you should be doing, then what are you doing right here and right now? And where is the gap?
Yeah.
And that gap is exactly what Rudra is aiming to bridge.
So is this something that people will be able to do online from anywhere in the world? How are you delivering the transformation?
Yes, Ralph. So it's a first for me as well. As I told you, from a failed stockbroker to a hypnotherapist to a trainer, and then to this understanding that if we convert this entire approach in a manner in which anybody who senses this exciting requirement that they want to break free, they want their lives to fly, and it's possible. Like, it's our birthright. You've come onto this planet. It's your birthright to live well. And if you're not being able to do it, there's got to be a mechanism that can assist you to do that. So it is an online program. It's a downloadable program. It's chunked into small modules, safe. You can do it at home, absolutely not dependent on an external personality. And step by step, very logically, it takes you into the premise of where did you get stuck? What can you do through breathing, through stretches to unstick yourself from there? And then bring to it the already age-old established protocol of focus, get there. But this time the difference is you've got the clean, raw material. So it's not as if you're simply visualizing an awesome life out there with something sticking to your ankles. You've actually gone back there. You've unhooked the chains. You've got your act in order. And then you're ready to fly. Simple protocol, online, chunkable, small steps, one at a time. Next step, next step, next step, and you're good to go.
Well, I think many people who hear this will be interested in finding out more about that. So we are going to put the link to that program on the Rebelpreneur website. So if you're listening to this, you can find that link in the show notes. Or if you're listening somewhere else, go to rebelpreneur.com and look at this interview. We'll have the special link so that you can access RUDRA from wherever you are in the world. I've been speaking with Yuvraj Kapadia about his program and about his life experience, and I really appreciate you being on the show today. My friend, can you leave us with any final thoughts or words of wisdom that would kind of summarize what we've talked about and give people some hope for a better future?
Perhaps a generic message that I keep reminding myself as well every day is that there is only one obligation, if you would like to call it as such, that we carry to ourselves, and which is to be happy. And happiness is a conscious choice that we can make every single day of our lives. So happiness is not something that comes at the end of a destination. It's the process to get to the destination that you are looking to get to. So if you wake up every morning and remind yourself that I'm going to choose to be happy today, the right route, the right reality, the right destination will open up. So happiness becomes a choice and not a byproduct of life. That would probably be a line that I want to leave everybody with.
Excellent, excellent. Words of wisdom from Yuvraj Kapadia. He is the founder and CEO of EKAA, Integrated Clinical Hypnotherapy Foundation, one of the world's biggest training institutes specializing in hypnotherapy and regression therapy. He has grown EKAA into a worldwide presence with over 13,000 certified students and over 60 certified trainers. Yuvraj, thank you so much for your time today and for sharing your wisdom and your life's work with us on Rebelpreneur Radio. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, sir. Pleasure is all mine.
You've been listening to Rebelpreneur Radio with Ralph Brogden. Download the show notes and much more at rebelpreneur.com.